Welcome everyone to History Gone Wilder, part of Half History Will Travel. I am your host, the Wilder historian, Dr. Lucas Wilder, and as the Battle of Mossy Creek was being fought, James Longstreet was planning for a possible push into Kentucky. Confederate Lieutenant General James Longstreet kept an eye on the state of Kentucky. He repeatedly requested permission to invade the Bluegrass State. The Confederacy, since it first formed in 1861, wanted Kentucky. The most concerted effort to bring it into the Southern fold was the Kentucky Campaign of 1862, when Braxton and Bragg invaded the state. Now Longstreet wanted to renew that strategy. In preparation for such an invasion, Longstreet sent orders by way of his Assistant Adjutant General, Moxley Sorrell, to one of his cavalry commanders, Brigadier General William Grumble Jones, stating, "The Commanding General desires to make a sudden and well-concealed dash upon Cumberland Gap with the view of obtaining possession of it. Unless you can work secretly and quietly, your effort will not succeed. If you will advise him of the proper time, he will throw Giltner's brigade across the Holston to move down and divert attention and protect this flank of your column, and indeed our entire line may be advanced at the same time to recover some of the foraging country that we have lost, and to prevent any reinforcements moving in the direction of Cumberland Gap." Jones's force met north of Rogersville, Tennessee. His brigade contained the 21st and 8th Virginia Cavalry Regiments and the 27th, 34th, 36th, and 37th Virginia Cavalry Battalions. Jones pushed north to Jonesville, Virginia, where a patrol from Cumberland Gap was located. Major Beers of the 16th Illinois Cavalry and the 22nd Ohio Artillery journeyed into Lee County, Virginia in order to find food and put pressure on Longstreet's foraging expeditions. Jones's march resulted in one man freezing in the saddle and multiple men getting frostbite because of a lack of shoes. Jones's strategy was to march a long distance and then attack at dawn the next morning. On January 3, 1864, Jones's command approached Jonesville, Virginia. The unsuspecting Federals were milling about their camp, but they were more concerned with the 64th Virginia, who they had been skirmishing with from the previous day. The 27th, 8th, and 37th chased some Union soldiers through their Federal camps until they met the main force on the north side of the Wilderness Road. A quick advance allowed the Confederate soldiers to capture Beers' artillery. However, the Southerners wouldn't have the prize for long. Beers' men counterattacked, driving Jones's men back to their former position. Part of Beers' command occupied a rise to the northwest of Jones's position. Part of the 8th Virginia Regiment and the 37th Virginia Battalion engaged with the Blue soldiers. The Union commander couldn't hold that part of the field long, and his troops fell back to the main body. The fighting lasted until the afternoon, when the 64th Virginia Mounted Infantry and the 10th Kentucky Mounted Rifles approached from the northeast. The 64th Virginia and 10th Kentucky pressed the flanks of Beers' troops, trapping the Federal soldiers between Jones and themselves. Beers fell back to a hill and formally surrendered at 3 p.m. Jones reported 383 men captured, along with 3 artillery pieces and 27 wagons. After defeating the Union contingent at Jonesville, Grumble Jones would remain in the area. To the south, Union General John G. Parke would venture out of Knoxville and toward the town of Dandridge, Tennessee. Longstreet likewise moved out to meet him. At Kimbrough's Crossroads, Jenkins's division engaged with Union cavalry, but Confederate reinforcements resulted in the cavalry retreating toward Dandridge. The next day, on January 17th, a small battle erupted near the town as more Confederate troops arrived. Most of Longstreet's entire corps was prepared to fight at the little Tennessee town named after the United States' First Lady, Martha Dandridge Washington, but Parke declined to attack, pulling back to New Market, Tennessee, near the site of the Battle of Mossy Creek in late December. When Longstreet's command entered the town, they went into the home that Parke used as his headquarters. Inside, they found a flask of whiskey owned by Union Major General Gordon Granger. In early February, Union Major General John G. Foster was replaced by John M. Schofield. Schofield had been in command of the Department of Missouri previous to his assignment in East Tennessee. When Schofield took command, Longstreet had pushed as close as Strawberry Plains to Knoxville. The threat to Knoxville couldn't be tolerated by Schofield, and even though his command was weak from a lack of rations, he pushed his command out of the city. Longstreet didn't put up a fight and withdrew, with Schofield falling as far as Morristown, but no major engagement resulted. However, to the north, Grumble Jones was still patrolling southwest Virginia, ridding it of Union troops. In late February 1864, a Union contingent from Cumberland Gap ventured out of the fortified mountain pass. Jones jumped at the chance to eliminate the Union threat. He approached the Federals from the east and planned to launch a surprise attack on February 22nd. Jones's force rode down the Wilderness Road toward Cumberland Gap through Lee County, Virginia. Many of the men from his command called the surrounding countryside home. He sent all but the 34th Virginia Battalion west to get in between the Federal soldiers and their garrison at Cumberland Gap. Jones's brigade arrayed themselves from Indian Creek on their right to the Wilderness Road on their left. When the order was given, the 8th, 21st, and 27th charged the Federal units. The Union commander attempted to rally his men to fight against the charging Confederates. However, he was hit by a bullet in the groin. With their commander down, any semblance of resistance faded away, and many Union soldiers simply surrendered. Some ran through Indian Creek, but the 91st Indiana ran north toward the Cumberland Mountain. Many of them got away, even though the Confederate cavalrymen gave chase. The Battle of Wyerman's Mill ended with only 3 killed and 7 wounded on the Confederate side, while the Union lost 13 killed and 256 taken prisoner, along with 8 wagons and 100 horses. Longstreet was surviving in East Tennessee because of his cavalry's ability to secure a large section of that region for foraging by his troops. Jones performed great service for Longstreet, but Jones gave Longstreet bad news. Cumberland Gap was guarded by between 1,000 and 1,500 entrenched infantrymen. Jones's 1,500 cavalrymen were no match for the Gap's garrison, and thus one entrance to Kentucky was cut off.